Can someone explain to me how these apartment complexes expect anyone to be able to pay rent? I'm moving in June because I'm going to grad school and I can't afford to live like where I actually need to live. So I was looking at like the next town over basically. And I was like, okay, I feel like $1,400 to $1,500 is an appropriate amount for rent in the area that I'm looking at. So I'll look in that range, right? There is nothing. There is nothing. Unless I want to live right next to like Cracktown, there's literally nothing. So I was like, okay, let me take the rent up to like max $1,600. Yeah, no. Still no. Even when the rent gets to $1,600, there's like $200 of fees every month. So your total cost of living there is like super high, and they don't tell you unless you call or unless you already applied. And then they're like, yeah, well, we know that the rent says $1,400, but it's actually gonna cost you almost $1,700. Oh, sorry. I'm like, what?
Okay, every time I post these videos, it really makes me wonder, what do people consider to be a normal amount of rent? For context, I'm from Massachusetts, where I paid $2,400 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom that was about an hour outside the city. I now live in St. Pete, Florida, where I pay, technically my rent is $32.75 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, but there's a special, so I only pay $27.72 each month, and I feel like that's completely fair. However, I own a business and work from home, so it is not only my apartment, but also my office space. I do get a reimbursement from my company every month as well for the office space, so my net rent that I pay, like as an individual, is about $2,400, which for everything I get feels normal to me. But then sometimes I see people saying that $1,800 is a lot for a 1-bedroom. And to me, $1,800 for 1-bedroom is like super cheap. Like I'm like, wow, that's cheap. But I know a lot of it depends obviously on your location. So I'm curious, based on where you live, what's like a normal amount for rent? What do you consider to be a normal amount for rent? Or like for a 1-bed, for a 2-bed, what would you be expecting to pay? Not what you would ideally pay, because we would all ideally pay crumbs for a nice place, right? But what would you like realistically expect to pay?
How are we supposed to buy a house when my rent is going up another $195 a month? It has gone up $720 in 4 years for the same place that I live in. $8,640 a year more for the same place I lived in 4 years ago. I'm sorry, property taxes are not going up that much that landlords are charging that much more. We had to stop blaming the economy, the government, the president. It is greedy people taking more profits in. When people tell you, just move somewhere else, why would I move to another state that's cheaper? Why should I have to uproot my family, lose my career, just to afford to live somewhere? You're implying people who live in where I live now don't deserve a fair shot at cost of living. And places with cheaper rent pay lower salaries. That's how this whole thing works for the most part. And my girlfriend's a teacher. Like, if she moves to a state with a cheaper cost of living, she might not even have a pension or her benefits anymore. Instead of telling the middle class to keep, looking somewhere cheaper, why don't you all align together and get people out of control that are doing this to us? You are always closer to being homeless than you are to being rich. Like, everyone just assumes one day they're going to get rich. And that's why they don't stand up for people just like them in the struggle right now. If not for the raise I got 4 years ago, I would be totally screwed. I don't even want to hand out or help. I just want things to not be so crazy expensive every year. Like, go buy pizza from where I work. Go buy my merchandise. I don't know. Not a handout, just advertising.
So I need to come up with $4,000 by April 20th in order to secure a cheaper apartment that I'm looking into. They want $250 per cat for a pet deposit. Why do I have 3 cats? $120 for the application fee already. I saw someone else do this on TikTok with their student debt. She went live and everybody donated roses and she was able to pay off $20,000 in student debt. I think 1 rose counts as $1, so if I get 4,000 roses, I can move into my apartment. That is more affordable. Do I think this is going to work? Absolutely not. But am I going to try it? Yeah, because I'm out of ideas. So if you see me go live, that's what's going on. Come and hang out in the chat. You don't have to donate, but that's where I'll be all day. We'll see how this goes. It's going to be an interesting experiment, but it's worth a shot, I guess. I'll see you guys there.
So I'm out looking at apartments in the city right now, and they were like, hey, we got this 2-bedroom, 2-bath available for $7,000 a month, which is out of my price range. I would like to show y'all what 7,000 United States George Washington dollars gets you in the great city of New York City, all right? I mean, boy, do we have a stunner here of a kitchen, right? And then let's take a look at the washing machine back from the Revolutionary War. And then in the living room, you just got that. Mind you, I'm at a 0.5 angle. So, and then the view from the kitchen to the living room, what? Like back of cat, like the bedrooms, like good size bedroom. Bathroom, not that bad. You know, nice bathroom. But $7,000 a month? You see the snack in the building, but that's not included. Come on, man. I'm sorry. Cannot justify.
If you want cheap rent without getting a roommate, there's only two options available. So for your first option, if you want a cheap apartment, is you have to move to far, far away land. You have to move to a small ass town where everybody goes to Walmart for fun. There's nothing to do and you'll be bored as hell, but your rent will be $35 a month. Your second option, if you want cheap rent, is your roommate is probably going to be rats and roaches. Your car's going to get broken into. You're probably going to get shot. But at least your city's a lot of fun and there's a lot of things to do in your city. And this is why I think renting is such a very unfair concept. I have a friend who's paying $2,500 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in Miami, Florida. Then I have another friend who's paying $800 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in a small town in South Carolina. Both apartments are pretty much the same size. The only difference is location. I think it should be illegal for rent to be over $2,000 a month. You could be paying $2,000 a month for your apartment and your next door neighbor, same model, same everything, could be paying $1,800 for the same model apartment as you. Or they could be paying more than you. When you renew your lease, it could go up by $9 or $900. And then you're paying $2,000 a month, but you will never own your apartment. You will never own it. I feel like rent should be like a fixed amount across the board. A 1-bedroom apartment anywhere in the United States should be like $800. A 2-bedroom apartment should be like $900. Life is unfair, but renting is 10 times unfairer.
I would have to disagree that $2,100 a month is damn cheap. And a lot of people have commented this, but it's just not true. So I'm going to explain why. The national average salary in the United States right now is $59,000, and $59,000 after taxes, your take home every month is about $3,800. So if you are a household or a single person living off of that one salary, that rent right there is more than half of what you're making. And that's just the average. So of course there's going to be people that are well below the average who cannot even afford a $2,100 rent that you guys are saying is cheap. Now, I'm not ungrateful at all. I'm blessed that we are able to afford this $2,100 of rent, which we got at this rate because we moved during COVID, during the height in 2020. We moved there in 2020 during the height of COVID, and they were having a really good deal because they were desperate to get people in. Now, unfortunately, that rent is about $3,000. But why are we normalizing? Why are we normalizing $2,100 a month of rent as being cheap when the majority of people in the United States don't even make enough to afford this type of rent? So many people have roommates. So many people who are families and have multiple children are living in an apartment instead of living in a house, which is what we are saving for. We're never going to own this apartment. We're all just throwing our money away, renting instead of buying. We have no buying power right now as millennials and as Gen Zers. Why aren't we able to afford to buy things like the generations before us did? How come we're the ones that are screwed? I was born and raised in California. It's not going to be possible for me to buy a home here because the average price of houses here, and these are old houses, like 1950s houses, is about $700,000. I thought I made decent money. Last year was the most I ever made, right? I thought that we would be able to afford a house. We're not going to be able to afford a house that's almost $1 million. It's just not going to happen. So I understand people saying $2,100 is cheap. It's not cheap. It's cheaper than other places, but we are all of us are being overcharged for rent, and these houses are insanely expensive, and there's like no chance of most people ever even being able to afford to buy a house in their lifetime. That's sad.
I just got home and I got a letter from my apartment building basically telling me that I'm getting kicked out of this apartment. Well, not really, but that's what it feels like, because tell me how they're raising their prices so much. Like so much. And it's just annoying, you know? It's really freaking annoying because I don't want to keep moving every year. But when you move, you usually get like 2 months free and stuff like that. So if I re-sign this lease, I don't get that. But anyways, that's another story. What I'm scared about is the fact that, like, when are these rent prices going to stop increasing? I'm 25. I never even thought I would be paying the amount of rent that I am currently paying in this apartment. I'm very freaking lucky to be able to afford this. And it's not that I'm, like, scared of how I'm going to be able to afford it, the next apartment or not, but I have to move. I can't stay here. I can't accept this price that they're increasing to next year because it's insane. You get me? I live in this neighborhood in Miami called Merrick Park. And granted, it's my favorite thing in the whole entire world. Like, it's like, it was called like the new Beverly Hills of the United States, right? And I don't know, I get it now why it's called that, because what the heck? I pay more on this apartment that is not like in a big place like Brickell or I don't know, another place downtown than Brickell in downtown. You know what I'm saying? Usually when you're living like right there in Brickell on the freaking 40th floor, you're paying more than me. No, we're paying the same thing, or I'm paying more, which is freaking crazy. And I didn't want to move to Brickell because I'm not a city girl like that. Like, I like my, like, you know, but now I kind of have to because I can't keep paying this much. Like, I'm supposed to save money at this age. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the heck? Like, what the heck? It's not that I'm scared about not being able to afford it, which is already so, like, privileged of me, but I'm just, like, I can't. Like, I can't get myself to, because it's so not okay. It's not okay that I would pay every month and I would be mad for a whole week. Like, I can't do that. Like, I'm supposed to invest. I'm supposed to pay back my student loans. I'm supposed to do so much, and that's money that I'm never ever gonna get back. We're talking about they increased the prices to, like, honestly, I might as well put a down payment on a house. I might as well pay my mortgage. You know what I'm saying? Are they freaking insane? And when I tell you, this apartment is not huge. It's not huge at all. Like, I had to move stuff around my room yesterday because I felt like I was too, like, I don't have space to walk here. I'm so annoyed. I'm so mad. And I'm sorry if I sound out of touch. I really don't mean to be. I'm just talking about my experience and something that made me really frustrated right now, because I do love living here and I do wake up every single day and I'm just so grateful. And now the fact that I'm gonna have to move after I made this place like my home, it's really freaking annoying, you know? And last point, I feel like before the rent prices would always increase, but you would expect $50. We're talking about like a $400 increase. Like, what the heck? What that? 400, bro? God. Hot take, and I'm not judging because I literally was in this situation like a few months ago. I cannot fathom paying $1,000 a month to live with 3 other people. It literally bothers me that rent prices have gotten so insane that you're gonna pay $4,000 for a tiny ass unit. So, like, for example, the situation I was in was I graduated college, I got a full-time job. It was downtown, and so there wasn't a lot of options, and I couldn't afford to live by myself. So I had to live with like 3 other college students. I paid $1,000 to live with 3 girls. Keep in mind, our unit was tiny. I could not fit like literally anything in my room. I was like crammed. I've learned like how to be a minimalist now because like I had no room in that apartment.
My walking pad was like literally right next to my bed. Like there was no privacy. But I'm just not understanding like how people are graduating college and like moving out on their own, trying to be independent, trying to like stream away from their parents. And you're gonna tell me that it costs $1,000 to live with 3 other people. So obviously, if I didn't live with 3 other people, I'd be paying $2,000 in rent. $2,000. Keep in mind that that doesn't include any other bill you have, on top of the fact that that is literally like half of what you make. The math like doesn't make sense in my brain. And the fact that now I live in a lot less busy area and the rent is still expensive as fuck. I don't live anywhere near where I go to school. I drive there every day and the rent is still fucking ass crack expensive. When I moved into this apartment, we didn't even have a washer and dryer. Like, what do you mean? Like, and this is not me being a brat, like, get fucking better rent prices. No wonder people are living in their parents' basement. Like, this is why. Oh, not to mention I had 2 sources of income too.
I keep seeing these videos about people aren't getting paid enough to afford rent, and I just have one thing to say. It makes no fucking sense that the wage to rent ratio does not match. And I live in Florida. Florida is very expensive. The rent here is insane. Like, I live in a 4x4 apartment, and each of us pay over $1,000. Like, that's fucking ridiculous. That is $4,000. Like, I don't know if I don't know about economics, if we're all just getting fucked, but I do not understand how people are affording to live right now. And I know this is a big crisis that everyone's talking about, but the reason that I say this is because people think when they get out of college and they get their first job that they can just go live on their own and become financially stable. Absolutely fucking not. If you are not making at least 1/3 of your rent, you should not have that apartment. You should not be moving out, because people do not realize how expensive shit is. How much stuff you have to buy besides just rent and utilities. You got your car insurance, your phone bill, your food, your credit card bill, your fucking gas. And I'm no fucking financial advisor, but the wages should match the rent in that area. And don't get me wrong, like, my girlfriend lives in like a cheap area where like her rent is like less than $1,000 a month for a 1x1. So yeah, the wages might be like, you know, a little shittier. Florida, none of the wages are increasing in Florida, but the rent is fucking through the roof. Like, they raised mine $300. Bitch, I already pay $1,000 to live with 3 rugrats, 3 strangers that I don't know. I'm not paying $1,300 for 3 roommates. Like, you got me fucked up. The rent prices piss me off, because why in the fuck are you charging that much for an apartment? These landlords are eating you up, spitting you out, really sucking on your dick hard too, because they are getting so paid. They're making so much money off of you.
It sucks, but people are really drowning right now. Looking at the comments for my video about rent prices was like honestly depressing. You know, it's so many people out there that are in these situations, these circumstances where they can't afford their rent. Like, some of the prices that people were saying for the square footage that they were getting is insane. And I think this tells us one thing, that a lot of people are struggling financially. And let this be a reminder that you should take what you see on social media with a grain of salt. Somebody just got a new car, they, going on vacations. It's not to say that people can't afford to do these things right now, but just take it with a grain of salt, because most likely they're struggling, they're drowning too. I've even seen people comment down below saying like, oh, should we still be paying 50-50? Should it be the man 100%? And hey, I may tell you a joke, but I'll never tell you a lie, man. 2 incomes is more than one, especially during these times. Comment down below what your rent prices are in your city, because people need to see that this is all over. It's not just where you're at. And most importantly, God bless.
At this point, we all know how insane it is to rent and live in New York City, but I just received an email from a realtor that actually blew my mind. My boyfriend and I just found out we have to move because they're selling our unit. So obviously, as one does, I've been looking on StreetEasy, and I came across this little, emphasis on little, studio loft, okay? It is not in a luxury building. It is literally a walk-up in downtown Manhattan. 0 amenities, okay? And remember, this is not a 1-bedroom. It is a loft, and loft is generous, okay? It has a crawl space that you can sleep in. That's what it is. Anyways, it was listed for $3,000, which unfortunately is kind of on par for the market here in New York. And it was not listed as a no-fee apartment, so mind you, when I reached out, I knew it was probably gonna have a broker's fee, but I was not prepared for all of the other fees that came along with this fucking apartment. I literally wrote them all down because I was so fucking flabbergasted. Like I said, I did have the standard 15% broker's fee, which fucking fingers crossed will not be the case in like 6 months. But anyways, the 15% broker's fee was $5,400, okay? On top of that, this is where it gets crazy. Each person, so my boyfriend and I, would both have to pay a $450 application fee. I don't know about you, I have never paid more than max $100 for an application fee. And then on top of that, if you need a guarantor, which thankfully we wouldn't, we're not applying for this place, but if we did and we needed a guarantor, that's also an extra $350. On top of that, we would also each have to pay $100 for a credit and a background check, because apparently that isn't covered in